Hello and welcome to Almost 30 podcast. I am Krista and I'm your host. I do Almost 30 with my best friend, but we like to do some solo episodes where we dig into topics that we like to talk about, that our audience asks us about or is in conversation with us about, and really just share vulnerably and authentically what we're going through with hopes to support you in your process. So Almost 30 was born when we were almost 30, many moons ago. It has now turned into a book, a movement, a community. We have over 800 episodes. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to be with you. I can't wait to sit with you. I can't wait to share some things that are deep and near and dear to my heart and hopefully help you, especially if you're an empath, in the dating scene. So let's get into the solo episode with me on how to survive and thrive as an empath in dating. So let me start with a little bit of a story. I am someone that never really liked the term empath. I found it to be annoying. I didn't really understand it. And as soon as I realized that all the patterns in my life had been because I was a deep feeler and I was someone that was very sensitive, I realized that the term empath was something that I was. So as annoyed as I was with the term, it's really what I was. And an empath is someone that feels things to a level that may be considered abnormal or out of the normal range. So you may feel, a situation more deeply. You may feel things really deeply and more resonantly in your body. You may hold on to things. You're attuning to other people's needs, thoughts, and emotions. You're using your psychic gifts and abilities to make other people comfortable. You're someone that has the five senses of sight, taste, touch, smell, sound to a level that is sometimes uncomfortable and sometimes really beautiful. So an example would be someone that is an empath would be so deeply impacted by a song or music that they feel it to a really intense level, almost cellularly, where someone else just might be like, yeah, this is a cool song. An empath is like, this is a song that's hitting me in a way that I don't even know how to describe. Oftentimes, more often than not, women are empaths. Women are usually the deep feelers, the very sensitive ones, but that doesn't mean that men or even, kids can't be sensitives and empaths either. It's just one of those things that because of the texture of women that we came in to be communal, connective, sensitive, soft, all of these things, most of the time, women are empaths. And I've talked a bit about my empath journey on the podcast, and I've done episodes on being an empath throughout my time. And it's been something that the more I've become conscious of the ways in which I negotiate my authenticity for attachment, the better my life has become. So oftentimes when you're someone that is either codependent or you're an empath, sometimes they kind of interchange. You are someone that will give up who you are for the comfort and safety of someone else. So as an example, I was someone in life that I'd be talking to someone and I'd be, of course, asking them 100 questions, so curious about their life, facilitating this whole conversation with them. And then they'd, eventually maybe ask me how I was. And I wouldn't even know what they were talking about. I'd be like, who am I? I would look at my body and be like, oh my God, I have a body here. And I would almost be caught off guard because I didn't even know what you were talking about as far as what it meant to be me. I left my body so much for other people and their experience. I self-erased so much that I didn't even know who I was when they asked me. In a lot of ways, this was something that was really beautiful. It really supported me in life to be someone that was holding space for others, that was a safe space, that was emotionally attuning to people, that was reading people's minds, that was doing all of these things. There's a really beautiful element to empaths. But on the other side, when you're doing that all unconsciously for safety, you really aren't living out your own experience. You aren't having your own life. And so often for women, we can negotiate having our own lives and our own experiences, our own preferences, our own opinions for the safety and the preferences of other people. So for so many women, you are choosing to have the attachment over your authenticity, over your safety, over your peace. And I see this so much in dating. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to be an empath in dating. There was a situation this past weekend that kind of just got the idea for me that I'll tell you guys about. I was somewhere out and I was with someone that I'm dating, and I had this experience where we were kind of hanging out, talking, like being very touchy and cuddly. I'm so cuddly, like catch me being cuddle bug number one. I'm so cuddly and lovey. And then he left, and, I went my way for the night. He went his way. I went to do something. He went to do something else. And I felt myself leaving, and I felt myself so dysregulated in my body because my body is so sensitive. So when I get in the field with someone that I'm into, and I get into the chemistry with someone that I'm into, I feel immediately dysregulated when I leave their presence because I'm just like going into their energy unconsciously. So in this case, we were touchy and lovey. My energy is merging with his energy unconsciously, and I'm just getting caught up and swept up in the chemistry. And then when I leave him, it almost feels dysregulating for me, where I have to kind of re-find my footing and re-find my grounding. This can happen so much for people when you get into the feeling and experience of having chemistry with someone because of that energy between you. And you guys know that I think chemistry is oftentimes a karmic relationship. It's like this energy that's trying to bring you together for your greatest good. Sometimes that doesn't always look beautiful, doesn't always look comfortable, but it's an energy that's trying to bring you together for your growth. And so when we get in that chemistry feeling, especially as an empath, it can be so dysregulating. I will tell you what, it took me 20 minutes to regulate back in my body, to ground my nervous system, to feel my feet on the ground, to feel myself being held by the earth, to put my hand on my heart, to start deep breathing. And I'm sounding like I was having like a full meltdown. This was all just in my mind's eye. This was all something I'm doing on my own. It's nothing crazy. But I just really, really was reminded how powerful it is to be in the experience of chemistry, to be in the experience of dating, and how unique the experience of being an empath in dating is. Where someone else, maybe like him in this case, he left and he's like, oh yeah, that was great. I'm going to dinner. This is all good. We're having fun. I am like, oh my God, I cellularly feel his cells leaving my body. And I'm having this almost emotional experience of being with someone that I feel really safe and comfortable with, and then being without them. So in my case, my attachment was sort of leaving, and I'm feeling a little bit dysregulated. People that are really deeply impacted by the five senses, by touch. In this case, I'm very impacted by touch. I'm kind of like, okay, whoa, I'm feeling really deeply this touch. People are really impacted by light. People are really impacted by smell, sight, sound. So you could even be impacted so deeply by someone that you're dating smell and not even really be clocking how impacted this experience of being caught up and swept up by their smell is. And in this experience of having to be in my car and regulate a little bit with a friend almost, where I was like, whoa, I was like caught up in the chemistry. I was caught up in this moment, and now I'm having to reground and come back into my body. I was just like, wow, I forgot what being a sensitive empath is in dating and being someone that feels so much. And especially as I've, become more and more feminine, and I've stepped more into the feminine than ever before, which I've talked about on the podcast. I did an episode recently about 4 feminine hacks to get you into your feminine frequency that you can listen to. So the more I've stepped into my feminine, the more I've been impacted by this, the more my heart is open, kind of the more I've been impacted by this. So it's so important that we're being mindful of how we're getting swept up and of who we're allowing to sweep us up when we're empaths. And there's a lot of science actually about being an empath and dating that I want to bring through to you, because I think it's important for us not to only talk about, what an empath is from the feeling level. All of us feelers and all my girlies know it's like, I'm all feelings, no facts, baby. I could just rip on my thoughts, opinions, perspectives all day. Don't really always care about the facts, but I think it's been really helpful for me to understand what it means to be an empath from a scientific level, because then I can really sort of see the things happening as they're happening. And then I can explain to myself why. So a few of those things. So an empath isn't someone that's just emotionally sensitive. It's not someone that's just crying all the time. It's not someone that's just, like doing watercolors all day or is complaining. They often have things that are happening in their body scientifically that can lead them to have a more deep or intense experience. So you have highly active mirror neurons, you have a more receptive nervous system, and you have a stronger limbic resonance, which means that your emotional system will sync with other people. So this means that in relationships, especially new or intimate ones that you're having, you may feel people's stress. You may feel their sadness. You may feel their excitement as if it's their own. So this means that when someone comes in and they're dating you, They could really like you and be interested in you. And you could be like, I really like them. I'm interested in them. But you actually aren't. You're just mirroring their feelings and emotions, or you're feeling their excitement as if it's their own. So often in my dating, I've had this experience where men will feel a certain way about me and I will feel that way back. And I have to leave the date or the experience to feel in my body if that's true. I will have to be out of their energy field to be like, am I attracted to them? Do I find them like whatever? And I actually have to check if I'm running their energy or my own. So you may also have trouble separating your emotions from theirs. So again, if they're excited about you, if they're in love, you might be like, I'm excited, I'm in love, but you actually haven't checked in with yourself. You're just feeling what they're feeling. This could also mean that if they're feeling turned off or disengaged or whatever, you could also feel the same thing. And so checking in with yourself as an empath is going to be even more important. This could also mean that you get overwhelmed quickly, even by good chemistry. This is where I get caught up in the sauce. Catch me in some chemistry and I am swept all the way up. You couldn't inject chemistry in my veins fast enough. I love being in some chemistry. The magic, the wonder, the excitement, the vitality, the life, all these things. But that means for me, I have to be even more mindful. Because what's happening is a body-based experience where the sensitivity of my body is being caught up in chemistry. And then my mind will try and make sense of the chemistry and be like, actually, it's amazing. Actually, he's perfect. Actually, I love that he's unemployed. Oh my God, that's actually crazy that he talks that way about women. Oh, that's okay. And that's when you're sort of negotiating the red flags because you're caught up in that. So empaths can have an even more susceptibility to red flags because you could be so sensitive to the good feelings of the chemistry and you could be mirroring their experience rather than being in touch and in tune with your own.
Why is it so hard to feel 100% even when you're doing all the right things? That was me. I was eating well. I was moving my body, sleeping as much as a toddler mom can, and still feeling a little off. So I started focusing on what I was absorbing, not just what I was taking. And that's where Symbiotica came in. I am obsessed with Symbiotica supplements and just the way in which they source their ingredients and just the high quality of these formulations. And they really do work. Right now, I'm loving one of their new products, their liquid colostrum. It is so delicious. I was just saying to Krista the other day, I'm like, yo, did you try the liquid colostrum from Symbiotica? It is like a dessert. It tastes like vanilla sea salt, and it's my go-to for supporting gut health, immunity, and honestly, my hair and skin have never felt and looked better. It's really become a part of my morning ritual, and I definitely crave it. So good. Also, one of their new products is amazing. It's the Irish sea moss. I mix it into my smoothies for digestion, cellular energy, and a little extra glow. It's a lemon vanilla flavor, so it's really fresh and bright. I think you're going to love it. So these two have become daily staples for me amongst, other ones that I've been taking for years, like their D3K2 and the vitamin B6, B12. But I just love them over there at Symbiotica. So I'm not chasing quick fixes anymore. I just want to feel like me, more grounded, energized, and clear. And Symbiotica really supports that. So go to symbiotica.com/almost30 for 20% off plus free shipping. That's symbiotica.com/almost30 for 20% off plus free shipping. Okay, let's talk about hustle culture workouts for a second. The ones that leave you sore for days, running on fumes, or just totally disconnected from your body. I've done them all. It is me. We all remember my SoulCycle era, but when I found Evlo Fitness, something just clicked for me. It's not about working out harder, it's about working out smarter. Evlo's at-home strength training classes are led by doctors of physical therapy and employ the latest in exercise science to help you become the strongest version of yourself without wrecking your body and joints. I think that was my problem before. Like I was going into the gym, strength training, not knowing what I was doing. And I was like potentially like hurting myself and walking out just not feeling awesome. So this has been just so incredible. I've learned so much. My body feels amazing. I feel like my body looks amazing. I just feel really confident and really strong. So at Evlo, they are huge proponents of finding exercises that work for you and your body. And within the classes, they're constantly giving insightful tips on how our bodies work, how to tweak certain moves so it feels better in our bodies, swaps for more effective loads to the muscle. I learned so so much. After years of trying out every workout program you can think of, truly, I feel like I'm finally on the same team as my body, and it feels so, so good. If you want to feel that too, go to evolofitness.com and use code almost30 trial to get your first 6 weeks free, which is pretty incredible. Go to evolofitness.com, use the code almost30 trial. That's almost30 trial to get your first 6 weeks free.
You can also confuse connection with intensity. This is another place I can get caught up. So, a real, true, long-standing connection might feel like the slow burn. It might feel like something that doesn't shock your system. For empaths, it's even more important that you go slow. It's even more important that you go slow because you do not want to overwhelm and overexcite your system. And if someone's coming in and they're giving a shockwave to your system, that is not always a good thing. I have not yet had an experience where I have that intense chemistry that has been, good. And everything is good in dating. Everything is good. I learn a lot, but you know what I mean? Like something that's been like, this is my king. So I've even had to learn that. And you guys know in my process, I'm talking about, I love chemistry. I'm like, I don't want to give up chemistry, but I have to be truthful that I can get caught up in chemistry and then I can start to negotiate the red flags because the feeling of chemistry feels good for me. And as an empath, it feels even better because I'm feeling it cellularly, physically, and mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm feeling so much more than someone else might be. And I'm so sensitive. My body is so attuned and sensitive to the feeling of connection. There was someone that I met recently that we had a really intense connection. It was a really intense, so much chemistry, like just caught up in the whirlwind and the vortex of chemistry. And what I'll say is that firstly, as an empath and someone that's sensitive, you need to be mindful of people that can run chemistry very quickly and very intensely. So some men will use their ability to run chemistry quickly and intensely to hook women. They're so used to being in that first initial hit of intensity and chemistry that they can start to run that energy in their body. And then you'll just start to be running that energy in your body too, because you're an open channel, you're an open vessel, and you just start to run chemistry energy with them. And you get caught up in that feeling. You're starting to, your brain is starting to make sense of that feeling and think about, oh, this is good, this is all these things, but it's really just someone running chemistry energy with you and you just picking up on it and running it yourself and believing that that's the experience that you're having. So just to note, in this experience of me teaching about this with you, some of this is like 201 level, 301 level nuance of energetics. So if you're not understanding it, and I'm not saying that patronizingly, but if you're not understanding it, that's okay. Just take what resonates and leave the rest. But there are levels to the depth of understanding of what I'm talking about. To be someone that's like checking in and saying, whose energy am I running? Is this my truth or is this theirs? You have to first understand what your own truth is, and then you have to understand what it feels like in your organic attunement, your divine soul blueprint, what that naturally feels like. And then you'll have to be able to discern if that's your energy or theirs. So a lot of the process of being an empath and dating and being in your truth and having the most successful dating experience is to find out your own truth and be in it. So the science behind these experiences, so the mirror neurons, which is neuroscience, basically your brain has specialized cells that mimic others' emotions and actions. So this is a lot of, how we've evolved over time. We have these mirror neurons that mimic others' emotions and actions. So get an example of this. If someone is sitting across from you for dinner and then they cross their arms, it's very likely that you will cross your arms as well. If someone leans in and puts their head on their, palm, it's very likely that they do this as well. This is actually a sign of when someone is more able to be manipulated. Some people in NLP trainings or different types of trainings can see if someone's more able to be manipulated or hypnotized because they can see if they're attuning to their emotions and their actions because their mirror neurons are more active. So empaths have been shown to have a greater mirror neuron system activity. So, which is why they absorb other people's emotions in the room. You don't just understand the feelings of other people, you actually feel them. So someone else, if you're like, man, I'm really feeling heartbreak right now, I really feel grief about something. My experience, previous experience before I was conscious would be to feel that grief and to be, I could get emotional right now thinking about it. My eyes are watering. Like I could feel the pain and grief of someone else. And so much of my life was just being in other people's experience and emotions. But you are going to be someone, if you are in a relationship or in a dating experience, if you are with someone that's sharing something very vulnerably, sometimes our guard can be down and those mirror neurons can be very, very activated because we're looking to get that connection of that relationship. And then you could be physically feeling feelings that might not be yours. So an example of this would be you're on a date with someone you're excited about and you're attuning to them, which is healthy. Attunement is healthy, but you're attuning to them so much so that when they tell you about how they didn't get the promotion at work, you and your body feel literally ill. You feel unwell. You feel so sad. You want to fix it. You want to help them. You want to, you want to do something about it. So you've basically, because of your mirror neurons, have absorbed their experience and made it your own. When the more healthy way to be is to check in, okay, is this something I want to take on? No, it's not mine. I can hold space for them and I can be kind and loving to them, but I can be protective of my own energy. It actually isn't proving my worth to absorb other people's energy. So for so many of us, we lived our lives proving our worthiness by absorbing other people's emotions, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. That was my whole life. Proving my worthiness by completely self-erasing and by proving how valuable I was by absorbing everyone else's experience. And I had the belief that I could transmute their energy, I could make them feel better, that I had to feel what they were feeling. So remembering that you don't just understand how someone feels, you physically feel it. So if some man is coming to you and he's running really sexual energy with you, you're not just going to understand that. You're going to feel that feeling in your body of like, oh my God, am I really attracted to this person? What is going on here? I am fully like obsessed. Again, that might not be your energy. You could be mirror neuroning and just reading and sort of feeling into the feeling that he's having and taking it on as your own. So as it relates to the nervous system sensitivity, empaths have a highly sensitive autonomic nervous system, especially the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls the rest, digest, and connection. So this basically means you might become overstimulated in chaotic environments or highly emotional environments. Your body will take longer to return to baseline after emotional interactions. So this could mean that in high emotion environments, you could be on a date and maybe it's the first time you guys are talking about something important where you're defining the relationship and you are going to really maybe lose the plot. You're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm so stressed. Are we going to do this? Are we not? I'm afraid of commitment. I don't know if he's the one. I don't know if he's going to want to do this. And that overstimulation can really cause you to lose the plot more than someone else. So you might just really kind of like lose yourself, lose the truth of how you feel, not be able to stay grounded. And oftentimes what can happen in that situation, say you're defining the relationship, you will completely disassociate or leave your body and just kind of caretake or go with whatever they want. So maybe he's like, I've been thinking about this and I'm not ready. And you could be like, yeah, you know what? I'm not ready either. It's all good. I feel fine. And you're just agreeing with them because you're so fearful of the dysregulation in your system of the truth. So the more powerful thing is, he's saying, I don't know if I'm ready. Taking a pause, checking in with your body, taking a breath. Yeah, I feel ready. I feel ready for a relationship. And I honor where you're at in your process, but what I want right now is commitment. Giving it another pause. You staying in your own experience and your own nervous system is really the key thing. So when you know that you have a high nervous system sensitivity, it's going to be harder for you to stay regulated when you're dating, when you want that attachment. And it will take longer for your body to return to baseline after emotional interactions. So the example again, when I'm out with that guy, for him, he's not an empath. And so for him, he can leave and be like, oh, cool, like that was great. And I'm leaving and I'm like, I need 15 minutes to regulate after intense chemistry is running through my body. I need to like kind of like put my feet in the ground. Like I need to relax and rest. And again, this doesn't need to be something that's controlling my life or taking over my life, but it's the felt sense experience that I'm noticing and witnessing and that I'm regulating in that moment. The nervous system sensitivity also is so important for you all to think about as it relates to sex and intimacy. So if you are someone that is an empath and that is deeply sensitive, when you are intimate with someone, it's making me emotional to think about this because it's so important. When you are intimate with someone, it is so much deeper than maybe someone else is experiencing. I am available for whatever feels good for you guys as far as your timeline of having sex or being intimate with someone. But what I want to say is that you should feel ready for the experience of what it's like as a sensitive to have sex with someone and the repercussions of what that means. That means you're going to be attached much more easily. That means you're going to feel it so much more in your nervous system. That means you may be overstimulated if you don't get taken care of after, if there's not a text the next day, if there's not connection after, if you don't spend the night. Like the feeling in your body is so much more intense and touch is so much more sensitive to you. Connection is more sensitive to you. Smell, sight is all so much more sensitive to you because of the mirror neurons and because of your nervous system sensitivity and because of the limbic resonance, that the experience will be more intense for you. And the more you can own that and know that and love that and see that as a beautiful, filter for the person that you're going to share intimate space with, the better. But if you are not aware of this, you will be completely wrecked and it will be very hard for you. I had an experience when I was much younger that completely changed the way that I approached intimacy with men. And it was so traumatizing that it made me so much more discerning. And I wouldn't say that I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. But that experience was so bad that it set me on the right track because I realized that I absolutely could not have myself be rocked in that way for that long. And so when you are someone that is sensitive or identifies as an empath, when you are dating, it is so much better for you to wait till you have safety, you have commitment even, you have, intimacy. And for me, when I feel safe enough that they see me, they respect me, and they're attuned to me, and I can communicate with them about the process of when I'm ready, how I like it to go, how I like my aftercare, whatever that thing is, that's when I know I'm ready to open up. But your body will be telling you when you're ready, and you really need to honor your body in that process. It's not nothing. Sex is so deep and so intimate and so important and so transformative and so powerful and so beautiful, but it's not nothing. It is a deep experience for your body, for your mind, and for your soul. And I think the more seriously we can take it, especially as empaths, the better we are to ourselves and the better we are in intimate relationships. So there's also the piece of emotional contagion. So there is a real psychological effect called emotional contagion. And this is when emotions are contagious. So this can be an example of, say you go to a conference and the speaker gets on stage and they're just crushing it. And everyone is like, this is amazing. This is awesome. It is more likely that everyone in the room thinks the same by the end of that conference than thinks differently. If you go to a comedy show, you have a comedian on stage, it is very likely that everyone starts to think the same about this person rather than everyone having their own dissenting experience. This is part of being in other people's energetic fields. This is a part of entrainment, which is the concept that people will entrain to other people's energetic vibration. We are energy. It's just a fact. So the fact that we are energy and that our energy is influenced by other people and our emotions are influenced by other people, and emotions can be contagious. This is also the feeling and experience of having someone that just lights up a room, and they actually light up a room. Like someone with really good energy can change the whole emotional experience of the room. So you will be even more susceptible to this. So especially if someone is a narcissist, especially if someone is someone that is very powerful and manipulative, that can really just work a room, that is very charismatic, you will be more susceptible to their emotions, their experiences, how they're feeling in the dating process. You will be looking to get that connection with them, to be accepted by them, to be loved by them, and you will just be more susceptible to how they're feeling in their own experience. And so being mindful of this real psychological effect that emotions are contagious. So if a man comes and meets you, he's pumped about you, he's excited, he's looking forward, and you like at first don't know how you feel, but then in the end you're like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." But maybe that's not your truth, because maybe the emotions kind of took over and you're kind of just boundaryless and susceptible. And you're like, I don't even, and then this can happen so much when you can kind of get out of the chemistry and you're like, what was I thinking? That's a part of what I'm talking about as far as your nervous system being extra sensitive, the mirror neurons, and emotional contagion. I've had this happen so much where I'm like out of the chemistry and I'm like, whoa, my brother was not up to par. But the chemistry was just so good. So if we know how sensitive we are, we know the boundaries we can have, we know that we feel more than other people, we need to treat ourselves and give ourselves more boundaries and clarity because of our sensitivity. So how we can navigate dating as an empath. The first is to be able to identify what is yours. So is this feeling mine, or am I feeling their emotional state? The example that I gave before related to sexual chemistry with dating, I can kind of expand upon it. So I've had the experience where dating where I see someone and I'm not really that attracted to them. I'm not that, it's like, great, they're cool. There's a lot of parts of them that are cool. But then I'll be in the date and all of a sudden I'll feel very physically attracted to them, almost running like a sexual energy. And I will feel like it's actually not my own, where I'm like, I actually think that they're so physically attracted to me that I'm now taking on their energy as if it's my own and I'm running their energy. This can even happen with someone on a date who's running like a very boring energy. They're like very nervous. You could get very nervous or you could start to be very boring. So it's kind of when you're noticing yourself step forward in a different texture than you're used to or than you like, you're kind of matching their energy. They're being really outgoing and funny. You're being really outgoing and funny. They're being really boring. You're being really boring. They're being quiet. You're being quiet. So it's when you are matching their energy. So starting each day and then going before each date, checking in at the bathroom with grounding in your own feelings. During dates, I will go to the bathroom. I will check in on my body. I will check in on how I'm feeling. I'll say, okay, what is mine? What is theirs? I release and clear any energy, thought form, or feeling that's not mine. And I commit to being in my own experience and my own essence. Just a quick little prayer, saying something. And then checking in on my body. What feels true to me right now? Do I really think they're funny? Do I really think they're cool? Okay, what feels true? Yeah, they are cool and funny. Okay, great. Now I'm going to commit and recommit to being myself. So you have to learn to identify what's yours. You have to avoid the chemistry trap. And I'm saying this with a shyness and a giggle because empaths can really, really confuse intensity with intimacy. The spark that you're feeling with them could be a trauma bond, could be an emotional projection, or it could be an unspoken wound that's sinking up.
Okay, hey guys, it's Lynn's reporting from vacation, and I just wanted to let you in on a little secret. If you are getting ready for vacation or really just upgrading your wardrobe in any way, Quince is my new jam, my new go-to for everything really great quality, amazing style, and insanely affordable. So let me bring you in on what I am currently literally wearing in this moment. I'm in the bathroom in our hotel room. I was like, babe, I gotta talk about this for a second. I'm wearing the European linen shorts from Quince. They are so comfortable, perfect fit, perfect fit. I got them in white. I'm wearing them dressed up, dressed down, like even like a bathing suit cover up. They are just phenomenal. Highly recommend. They come in a bunch of colors. And then I'm also wearing the Italian V-neck bathing suit top and the Italian V-neck bathing suit bottom. Really sexy,
amazing fit, and the fabric is insanely buttery soft. And I got it in like this bluey periwinkle color. It is so nice. I think it's my summer color. But again, everything is so affordable and incredible quality. So often I'll find like fast fashion or cheap fashion that's like terrible quality, and I just feel terrible after I buy it. But I feel so good about my Quince pieces. I'm gonna keep going. Like, this is how I'm going to like create a foundation wardrobe for myself. So to upgrade your summer wardrobe, look no further than Quince. For our listeners, you can go to quince.com/almost30 for free shipping and 365-day returns. Again, that is quince.com/almost30, quince.com/almost30 for free shipping and 365-day returns. I cannot wait to see what you got.
So just because you feel deeply for someone doesn't mean it's safe or aligned. For me, this intense chemistry has been showing me things that I need to learn, that I need to process, that I need to be with. Anytime I've felt really intense chemistry, it's a beautiful opportunity for me to check in with myself, to be like, whoa, what is the lesson here? Is this someone that I'm used to? Is this a dynamic that I'm used to? Is this like a pattern that I'm used to? So to share an example vulnerably, I had a situation at one point with someone that I met, and there was such intense chemistry, so intense. And as I was navigating the dynamic, I was really enjoying the chemistry. And we were out one time, and I noticed myself, we were in play and banter. It was like the third date, and all the dates had been really playful banter. And the third date, we were watching a game somewhere, which is so different for me. Like, I used to do that when I was in Ohio in the Midwest. We'd go to sports games. I was like, I can be a sports girl for a day, whatever. So we were watching a game somewhere, and I was like, okay, this is different and interesting, but I'm down to roll. But I was like, okay, this is the third date. We've only run playful banter energy, and we have not gotten deep. So on this date, I tried to get a little bit deeper to see what's up. This man does not have any spiritual practice, any spiritual awareness, any spiritual depth, any spiritual curiosity at all. And for some people that might work. For me, that doesn't work. There needs to be a texture of spirituality. It doesn't need to look like me. It doesn't need to feel like me, but there needs to be some spiritual curiosity, interest, or foundation. And what I recognized in this pattern with this person was we had so much chemistry and so much connection is because he represents a part of me that I'm so used to presenting in front of men. This part of me is someone that is playful, has a lot of banter, can be sexy, but I don't show men my depth, my intimacy, my softness, my, like mystic side. And so the chemistry was pulling us together because I was so used to this wound of feeling like I had to hide parts of me to be loved. So I was able to see, oh, wow, this feels so good and so comfortable because I'm hiding myself, because I'm so used to hiding. Oh my gosh, whoa. I'm so used to hiding. Here we are again. This unspoken wound that is popping up here via the chemistry that I could heal. So really watching where we feel chemistry, because you guys are going to feel it more than other people. We are going to feel it more than other people. So the third is going slow with physical intimacy. Touch, sex, and even long eye contact can create a deep emotional entanglement for someone that is sensitive. Your nervous system links your body and your soul. So slow builds helps you have clear discernment. Yes, slow builds helps you have clear discernment. I know so many relationship coaches and teachers often talk so much about going slow and the spark. And I think I'm understanding it so much more deeply and truthfully being someone that is an empath and sensitive and noticing the pattern that I've been in where I really love that. And I wouldn't say I'm completely over it, but it is something that having the awareness of how deep you feel and how much sex can impact you helps you to go slower, to take care of yourself. This is all about tending to and taking care of yourself and getting what you want in the end. Because if you want deep connection, emotional intimacy, safety, that real union, you have to set the stage and you have to set the standards and you have to set the boundaries. So recognizing before you start dating and while dating, I need to be careful when I'm really touchy-feely, when I'm having sex early, or when we're kind of going deep emotionally, that it's going to impact me more than other people. I need to regulate. I need to check in. I need to be discerning. And I need to know that my nervous system is really linking the body and the soul. So it's really important as an empath in dating for you to ground your energy daily. So whether you're dating or not, actually, you should be grounding your energy daily. This means putting your feet on the ground, connecting to the earth. There's a lot of science and research on grounding. This means really just finding time alone, moving your body, doing salt baths, spending time in nature, doing breath work, saying no without guilt. So your ability to be magnetic in the right way in dating is all about your energetic hygiene. As an empath in life, you have to be so much more mindful of your energetic hygiene more than other people because you're so sensitive to energy. So when we are up against the desire for connection and intimacy and so much opportunity to lose yourself and leave your body and, go in someone else's experience and be caught up in chemistry, you need to be even more diligent and even more ruthless about your energetic hygiene. Truthfully, we all need to be doing that. I need to be doing that. We need to be doing that. So this is even a note for myself. I need to be more mindful of my energetic hygiene. No. You also need to stop over-attuning. We need to stop over-attuning. You do not need to manage their mood, over-understand their wounding, or rescue them from chaos. That's not true love. That's energetic codependence. I see so many of y'all spending so much of your life in the drama of the relationships that you're in and spending so much energy in the energetic codependence of relationship. You do not need to over-attune for someone. You can be and you should be attuned to your partner, to your lover, to your mate, but you do not need to spend your entire experience and existence completely attuned to them and their experience. You should have some attunement back. Wouldn't that be crazy? What I've noticed when I think about the feminine, and I talked about this a little bit on one of the episodes that I did, was that the most powerful woman, the most magnetic woman, the queen, is actually mostly attuned to herself. I would say over 90%. And in that, she creates magnetism because her attunement to herself shows her worth, shows her power, and people then want to attune to her. But the maiden energy is when you're over-attuning to other people because you're afraid of what they might do if you stop. You feel like you need to take care of them. You're interested in people-pleasing, and you're doing it all for safety. You do not need to manage anyone else's mood or experience. It's all about you attuning to yours and seeing if that works for you, especially in dating. The beautiful part about dating is you have so much opportunity to learn about this in the process. So with each dating situation that I've been in or relationship, it's been so beautiful because I'm like, oh my gosh, how myself was I? How did I feel in that situation? How was my body? How truthful was I about how I feel about this thing? Oh, I noticed myself negotiating how I feel because I was afraid they might judge me. Okay, cool. How can I really choose to speak my truth next time? Oh, I noticed myself, I completely sort of left my body because I was in their experience. Okay, cool. How can I be better next time? I noticed myself, really caught up in chemistry. How can I be better next time? How can I really attune to myself, ground to myself? I noticed myself having this experience of deep desire. Is that true to me or is that true to them? I noticed myself caught up in their stress energy or their anxious energy. How can I hold space for them but be in my own experience? So the bottom line is that dating as an empath requires boundaries. It requires energetic hygiene. It requires slowness and lots of self-trust. You're not too sensitive. You're deeply, deeply tuned in. But to thrive in relationships and in love, you need to lead with your clarity, not just the connection. So my wish for you is to feel like yourself, to feel fully expressed, to feel confident and comfortable in your body, to use your voice, to enjoy the process, to be in the feminine, and to own your gifts, to really see all your sensitivity as such a beautiful gift. And to first do that, we need to see how we're using it inappropriately or we're using it for safety. If you are someone that identifies as an empath or someone that's highly sensitive, highly suggest you come to the retreat that I'm hosting in Ibiza in October in Spain. So I work with Six Senses, which is a 5-star, beautiful, eco-friendly luxury resort on the island of Ibiza. And I have a retreat for sensitives and empaths called True Essence. So this is to help sensitives and empaths reclaim their power and find their purpose in life. This is something I had to do. And during this week, we swim in the sea, we hike the mountains, we eat nourishing organic food, we laugh, we cry, we play, we heal. And you're really given the opportunity to step into your power, to find your purpose and step into your power. You will leave with women that feel like your best friends, that feel like you've known them forever, and you will leave a different person cellularly. So allowing this beautiful container of your sensitivity to be a gift to you, where you can feel the ocean, you can feel the emotions, you can feel the feelings, you can express yourself fully, is just the best. And I've seen women absolutely transform their lives. And my hope and wish is that you give yourself the pleasure and give yourself the opportunity and give yourself the gift of having a week to change your life and to see the sensitivity as a gift. So that is my invitation for you. You can go to itskrista.com. So it's ITSKRISTA. And we have my retreats on there. Itskrista.com. I host international retreats all over the world. They're the most beautiful, luxurious retreats ever. And they're so stunning for the community at large. Thank you for tuning into Almost 30. Thank you for subscribing to Morning Microdose, our daily clips channel without ads. It's just like 5 to 10 minutes of the most motivating, inspiring information that you can hear on the internet. And you can find Almost 30 at almost30.com, Almost 30 podcast on Instagram. We're also on YouTube. So if you want to watch your girl on YouTube, come hang. And then you can find me on Instagram at It's Krista. So it's ITSKRISTA on Instagram. Come say hello. Tell me about your experience. I got you. You're not alone. And I love you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.